For truth and diversity, come to RadioSimi.
Hey everyone, welcome to RadioSimi. I'm your host, Aleyah Ewing.
And I'm your guest co-host, Adam Fucich.
This week we'll be interviewing former campaign manager and city council candidate Ryan Valencia. We'll also be going over the latest news and some more Simi Valley updates.
We are always looking for people to join our team. So if you want to help and to get to know your community better, check out our website under the tab About Us.
We're also going to be transitioning our episode efforts to YouTube. You can still find us on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, Buzzsprout, and others, but by switching to YouTube, you can view artwork from local graphic artists, read our descriptions in more depth, comment your thoughts directly on the episode, and see closed captioning for more deaf and hard of hearing accessibility.
We've also been featured in the Ventura County Star. To see the full article, just Google VC Star RadioSimi.
Make sure to keep up with our website where you can check out our upcoming guest speakers, like for example, in 2 weeks we'll be interviewing California Senator Henry Stern.
If you're interested in supporting us on Patreon, you can get an exclusive opportunity to ask your own questions of the people we interview.
So stay tuned. Jazz hands. Here are some updates about what's been going on in Simi Valley and the greater area. The Rancho Simi Parks and Rec District is having their first ever story walk. They have a story written on boards along a path at Lemon Park. To know more, you can check out their social media at RSRPD. Visit Simi Valley, in conjunction with the Chamber of Commerce, is hosting a Best of Simi Valley Photos contest. You can use images of food, nature, landscape, hiking, and biking in Simi Valley, and more. The winner receives a $250 award. To see more, you can check out their Instagram at Visit Simi Valley. The Simi Valley Cultural Arts Center has teamed up with the Youth Council to create a virtual multicultural festival from April 10th to May 31st. You can enter photos and videos that celebrate cultural heritage and traditions. This can be dance, storytelling, food, clothes, and art. For more information, you can go to bit.ly/svmcfest. Submissions close on March 19th, so try and get them in as soon as possible. Here are your COVID-19 updates. As of March 4th, 2021, there are 100 new cases, 6 additional deaths, 77% ventilators available, and 32.1% adult ICU bed availability in Ventura County. Vaccinations are also underway. The Biden administration released a statement saying that they believe every single person in the United States will be vaccinated by this May. So keep an eye out.
Oh, have a happy birthday from RadioSimi.
Happy birthday to Andrew Barman, Bennett Epstein, Grant Keller, and also my Uncle James.
Here are some more job opportunities in Simi Valley. If you don't own any GameStop stock, or if you sold it just before it peaked and are therefore, out of money, don't fret, because GameStop in Simi Valley is looking for a part-time retail staff. Buffalo Wild Wings is looking for a part-time cashier. Ross is looking for a part-time retail associate. And CVS is looking for a full-time retail store associate, and Aldi is also looking for a full-time store associate. We're also being joined today by my friend Jacob Balkin to talk about his new short film called Lab Rat. Jacob Balkin is a filmmaker, photographer, and stage actor who grew up locally in Simi and graduated from Santa Susana. You can find him on Instagram and YouTube at JBall Productions. His film Lab Rat recently was submitted to the San Francisco Indie Shorts Festival and was accepted. It tells the state of Riley, aka 002496, who escapes the place that he called home for years, a secret government lab. Not only is he faced with running from his captors, he's faced with interacting with normal people too. Featuring performances from Eric Dahl, Brian Gallagher, and Kenny Lee Rose. Here's a clip from the short film.
Hey, you. Have you seen a boy in a hospital gown?
So,
What's this lab you're talking about?
That city little punk, you're going back to the lab.
You can find more at jblkn1234.wixsite.com/jballproductions.
Here's what's going on in local politics. During a city council meeting on February 22nd, a man named Joe Pachowski was appointed to the Neighborhood Council District Number 4. If you remember from a previous episode, I mentioned that neighborhood councils serve as a link or liaison between regular members of the community and city council. City council members get split into groups of 2, and those members choose people out of an application pool. The application consists of 14 questions, 5 of which are short answer, implying multiple sentences. This is an audio clip of local activist Grant Keller responding to Joe Pachowski's application.
All right, this is Mr. Pachowski's application for neighborhood council. He answered the basic questions. Please provide your employment information. He's in sales. We don't know where he's in sales. How did you hear about the neighborhood council? From city website, email from city. I guess that he is involved in the community by commenting on Nextdoor. That's the extent. And literally, he has nothing else to bring to the table on his application. So why is Mr. Pachowski a candidate for the neighborhood council who was passed over for this application of literally no interest in the job?
Unfortunately, you can't see the video because we're an audio-only podcast, but essentially none of his answers were in-depth. He wrote max 1 sentence on all of the open answered questions compared to other applicants who wrote paragraphs worth. Based on solely just his application, Joe is not qualified for this position. If I filled out a form like that, in not even college, just like Santa Sue or Hillside even, I would have failed from lack of content and basic grammar mistakes such as incomplete sentences. I would literally be laughed out of a middle school classroom. However, Joe's friends with Mike Judge, the person responsible for his appointment to the neighborhood council. Joe also has a history of making racially offensive comments and verbally attacking Latina City Councilwoman Ruth Luevanos, and, according to her statement during the City Council meeting, physical altercations as well. In fact, he was one of the people leading the Recall Ruth campaign after she made a video telling undocumented immigrants what their rights are. This Recall Ruth campaign was nothing short of racism. City council members have a duty to represent the people that live in their town, documented or not, and for people to verbally attack and threaten City Council member Ruth Luevanos for educating her constituents on their rights is xenophobic, nativist, and racist. During the vote of the appointment of neighborhood council members, Councilmember Ruth Luevanos brought these attentions to light and was pushed back from Councilmember Kavanaugh and Litzer, as well as Councilman Judge later in the meeting. She made arguments that Joe Pachowski displayed white supremacist tendencies through his racist social media posts, his offensive comments during city council meetings, especially in regards to the San Fernando Valley, and of course, his attempts to unseat a woman of color for educating primarily other people of color. Though she never outright called him a white supremacist, our local newspapers heard otherwise. For example, the VC Star's headline regarding the city council meeting was titled, "Simi Valley's appointee labeled white supremacist said couldn't be farther from the truth." What couldn't be farther from the truth is the fact that she never called him a white supremacist. And you might be thinking, but wait, Aleyah, doesn't it all just mean the same thing? No. The answer is no, they're not the same thing. Racism is cultural, structural, systemic, and systematic. White supremacy falls on this spectrum of racism, and racism contributes to the culture of white supremacy. Many people think that Donald Trump is a white supremacist, but he's not, at least according to leaders within the white supremacist movement. In the book Rising Out of Hatred, 2 prominent leaders in the contemporary white supremacist movement comment on how Donald Trump is not a white supremacist. Rather, he has white supremacist tendencies that uplift white supremacy rhetoric and put them in the mainstream media. This is the same thing that Joe Pachowski is doing, and that's what Councilmember Luevanos is implying. She was saying he contributed to a culture of white supremacy in Simi Valley, and yes, VC Star, that is the truth. The bias was seen in articles not just in the VC Star, but at 99.1 The Ranch and the Acorn as well. The Acorn titled their article, Luevanos' Comments Are Defamatory, resident says. 99.1 The Ranch titled two segments as following. Councilmember Luevanos should know better, and City Council Cult. Now, of course, all of these headlines are meant to be clickbait, which is why they all only tell one side of the story. Normally, you would expect that once you open the clickbait article, you would get a somewhat neutral story, but unfortunately, that's not the case. Each article provided a photo of Joe smiling and being cute with the sob story of how his personal character was being attacked because an elected official decided to hold him and his actions accountable. There wasn't any evidence provided defending City Councilwoman Ruth Luevanos' comments, such as his inappropriate social media posts or his racist remarks during City Council meetings. I'm disappointed that our local newspapers wouldn't provide both sides of the argument, especially at the expense of the safety and emotional well-being of a woman of color. We'll now hear from Adam Blasey, an adjunct professor at Moorpark College, who will talk about Simi and its ties with international drone warfare.
President Biden recently ordered an airstrike in Syria that by some accounts killed as many as 22 people. That decision has come under scrutiny, in part because it violated U.S. and international law, but also because it clarifies Biden's willingness to fail to honor his pledge to end America's endless wars. One relatively new component of those wars is the secretive and questionable drone program that was initiated by George W. Bush, escalated by Obama, and ratcheted up even further by Trump. Now you might be wondering, what's the U.S. drone program got to do with Simi? Well, Simi happens to be home to one of the world's largest drone manufacturers, AeroVironment. I first learned about AeroVironment a couple years ago when I happened to walk by one of the facilities behind Target on the West End. Its building caught my attention because it had what seemed like unusually strong security for an otherwise quiet location. When I got home, I decided to do some digging, and what I learned surprised me. According to a press release, quote, AeroVironment began operations in 1971 as a small engineering firm focused on applying aerodynamic principles to solve important challenges facing the world, end quote. In the 50 years since, AeroVironment has grown into a multi-million-dollar technology company that primarily produces drones and other technology for the U.S. military. AeroVironment moved its headquarters to Simi in 2018, but the company has been a part of the community for over 3 decades. A Ventura County Star article from December 2018 reports that the company has around 700 employees, about 600 of whom work out of AeroVironment's 5 Simi Valley facilities. This makes AeroVironment one of the largest employers in Simi. One of AeroVironment's best-known drones in the defense industry is called the Switchblade. This is a loitering munition, or a suicide drone. The Switchblade is a backpackable drone that's launched from the air or ground, guided with a small handheld device to its target up to 30 miles away, and capable of loitering for up to 20 minutes before diving directly onto its target. In effect, the Switchblade is a remote-controlled flying grenade. And based on AeroVironment's financial records, sales of devices like the Switchblade accounted for approximately 20% of its revenue each of the past 3 years, to the tune of roughly $200 million. This is to say nothing of its domestic and international sales of other military drones. Most arguments for the expansion of the use of drones rely on the assumption that drones are more precise than conventional bombings in terms of killing confirmed threats and minimizing civilian casualties. Hence AeroVironment's trademark slogan, proceed with certainty. But there are at least 2 reasons to question this assumption about the precision of drones. First of all, we ought to be careful to not overestimate their precision, since drone strikes are still open to human error. For example, based on testimony in a war crime trial of a Navy SEAL chief, a Switchblade killed a group of women and children who were mistaken for a group of terrorists in northern Iraq in 2017. Now, perhaps in the future, drones will be supported by advanced artificial intelligence that will make such errors less likely, but such an advancement would raise other ethical questions. But another reason to question the supposed precision of drones is that it's difficult to precisely confirm their precision, due in part to Trump's having rolled back Obama's already meager efforts to increase transparency of civilian casualties resulting from drone strikes. Besides, even if drone strikes are as precise as advertised, I think such a development in warfare is worrying, if only in light of considerations raised by the perspectives of those who live in countries in which drone strikes take place. For example, a coworker of mine who had grown up in one such country described the terror induced by the buzzing sound associated with drones. That terror can be heard in the words of people interviewed for a report from the law schools of Stanford and NYU entitled Living on Drones. As a Pakistani day laborer put it, quote, "I can't sleep at night because when the drones are there, I hear them making that sound, that noise. The drones are all over my brain. I can't sleep. When I hear the drones making that sound, I just turn on the light and sit there, looking at the light," end quote. If we wish to proceed with certainty towards a world in which all people may flourish, I believe we should be informed about and critical of those who make a killing off of killing, perhaps especially those in our own backyard.
Next, I'll be interviewing Ryan Valencia. Thank you so much for joining us here today.
Well, thank you so much, Aleyah. It's a pleasure to be here.
Can you tell us a little bit about yourself?
Sure thing. I think the Simi Acorn put it well in this recent edition. They called me longtime resident Ryan Valencia. I've been around the block a bit. I'm a native of Simi Valley, Atherwood, and professionally been around the block as well in service. Was formerly the district director for our assembly district, as well as been involved since I was 16. I got on the Simi Valley Youth Council, and I've been on boards and commissions and nonprofits ever since. So I am very much a real bro of Simi Valley, if you will. I've been involved politically, whether it was managing Christy Smith's assembly race back in 2018, and I just got off a city council race here in 2020. So I've been around the block.
So you worked on Christie's campaign in 2018. Would you mind telling me and the audience what you learned from that experience and how you applied it to your own race in 2020?
Well, it's so interesting going from a transition of a campaign worker to being the candidate yourself. And, it wasn't just Christy Smith's race in 2018. I've done a few races now in a few cycles. And so professionally, I am an organizer. So the background that I came into as a candidate was organizing people, was being able to come up with a message, with a vision. And so it was a great starting point. But what was so interesting about this cycle was campaigning in the era of COVID. So much of my organizing skills for traditional campaigning didn't come into play because we couldn't knock on doors. We couldn't have those face-to-face conversations that I think are so critical when it comes down to election time. And so we got to get very, very creative and innovative in how we deal with this. There was a whole new concept of mass turnout for early voting, which we had to deal with. And so as much as I was prepared on a lot of the more communication styles and knowing the issues very well, we couldn't do a lot of the traditional campaigning that we had been so accustomed to.
There weren't a lot of October surprises last year, but definitely one that stood out the most was the release of your DUI report. If I remember it correctly, it was released the day mail-in ballots came out, and I was wondering if you were concerned about how the DUI was released, especially since that information is usually private and the records of it are kept within SVPD. Also, do you think it affected the results of your campaign?
I guess the first part I would address is what was my reaction to how it was released. To me, all the criticism, the questions, the critiques, they were warranted. So I don't believe I have a necessary reaction to how that information was released, just because voters always deserve to be the jury and to hear facts, whether they're positive or they're negative, and make a decision based off of that. And so when we're talking about such a serious issue such as a DUI, I think that the voter, no matter how they get that information, it's their right to hear it and to make that final judgment. I believe all in all, the incident was honestly the biggest mistake of my life, and something that I'm deeply apologetic for. And I sincerely hope that folks who have made a mistake in their life, that they understand that you can apply yourself to still improve yourself, but additionally the community, to um, try and make up for those moments and to not be defeated by an error in judgment, to use it as a moment to grow, and hopefully we all get stronger from it. I believe at the end of the day, nothing was improper in how it was released. It is public information from my knowledge of the situation. There's that record what was able to be found on the Ventura County Superior Court's website. But I think at the end of the day, my hope then and my hope now is that any candidate or any elected official is judged off their record of service, is judged off of how they get back up from a mistake. And having started so early in my life at 16 serving this community until now, I just hope that I've demonstrated that commitment to people and improving lives. And so I think at the end of the day, how did it affect my race? I had thousands of conversations, whether it was me personally on the phones or text messages or any sort of event that we were able to have and communicate to voters. And out of the thousands of contacts that we made, the amount of times that the negative popped up, whether it was about myself, whether it was about opponents, it actually came out to zero in my voter contacts. What folks wanted to know about was your biography. They wanted to know about what you're going to do in office and how you're going to improve their lives. And having been in this political sphere now for a while, having done campaigns, having worked in the legislature on the government side, having done nonprofit work and organizing, one thing I've noticed is that negative campaigning isn't necessarily trying to boost people to turn out. And it's not something that inspires confidence in government or candidates and doesn't automatically say, oh, this person's bad, so we're going to the other person. And so part of my focus in campaigning was staying positive, delivering a vision. And I truly believe we had the best policy page out of any candidate that was running. I truly believe we had an actual goal and vision in mind as to how we maintain the quality of life, not just for residents today, but for residents of the future. And that was the entire theme of my campaign, is how do we make our kids and our grandkids' lives better? And that's why I thought I just didn't see that perspective on city council of somebody that's going to be impacted by council's decisions down the road. And so I think the best decisions are made not when everyone agrees with each other, 5 people that are all the same from the same backgrounds. I think the best decisions are made whether it's a nonprofit board, a corporate board, or a city council. They're best made when we have the most diverse backgrounds and perspectives that look at things holistically. And so that's a long-winded answer to say I don't believe at the end of the day that it had much of an impact. I think that when you look at our results and you still saw that 40%, the 5,300 votes that I received as a 25-year-old running for their first time, it inspired hope to me. And I believe others can do it. And so I spend most of my time now just trying to get other young people to run because I think it's so needed. And And I'm just looking at it from a positive spin. And so, ultimately, voters heard as much as they can. They made their decision, and I respect their decision. And we're just going to continue to fight for issues that we care about. That's because I think, and I'll end on this note. I I think that a lot of times, a lot of the personal uh, attacks, yeah, they do dissuade some folks from running, but I believe it dissuades folks from running when it's about them personally and not about the positions that they're fighting for. And so uh, I got deserved criticism, but at the end of the day, my entire campaign was about issues that we were fighting for and the supporters that were helping push that because I owe them so much. And so we're just going to continue to go forward. And that's all we can do.
What are your plans for the future as far as like local semi politics?
Uh, listen, I'm not even there yet, to be honest with you. My mind has been uh, not in any sort of 2022 or 2024 or whatever future election cycle at all. Right now, if you follow me on any social media, I am fully just trying to push issues that I care about. Actually, just today, I sent a letter over to City Council in hoping that they'll take a position in favor of the Rim of the Valley corridor, which is a conservation issue I deeply care about and an environmental piece that I really care about. And so that is where my mind is. I'm literally in between chairing emerging leaders. I'm still on nonprofit boards. I mean, I told folks in my concession, I said, this is, the campaign might be done, but the work still continues because you're still going to see me around the community. I'm not giving up on whether it's the issues or whether it's my involvements. I'm a Rotarian as well, so I have a lot of projects over there too. So everyone still keeps me busy, even though I don't have a title in front of my name, because if you need a title to get something done, well, then you shouldn't be with the title. An activist can still be an activist, whether in office or out of office. You can still make a difference on a very grassroots level. So all in all, I have no answer for you. I am just trying to get through today and tomorrow.
Do you have anything else you want to say?
Well, besides just trying to help me get Rim of the Valley approval, I think that please stay connected, all the young folks out there. I know that a lot of folks came up to me during the campaign, whether it's Gen Z or millennials, and they were very excited. And my closing message is just, as I've said before, don't wait for folks to say it's your turn to be in office, because that day won't come. The way that people stay in power is by convincing you that you have no power. And so I've been to now Sinaloa Middle School to Royal High School. I've been doing these brown bag lunches. I've been doing little speaking events because this is just so critical that every generation is represented in every governing board, because you guys are going to be the ones that are impacted at the end of the day by these decisions in the long run. So get involved. If you want to join emerging leaders through Simi Valley Chamber of Commerce, let me know. I am the chair. And yeah, that's what I got to say.
Thank you so much for joining us today, Ryan. I really appreciate having you on.
Well, thank you so much. I appreciate you, Aleyah, and I appreciate RadioSimi. This is a novel thing to happen to our community, and you guys are doing an awesome job.
Thank you. Okay. Thank you. Bye, Ryan. I'll see you later. This next part has bad language in it, so if you want to skip ahead, you should do that now. The song is clean, however, so you should still give it a listen. Probably skip like 5 seconds. This song is called Lovesick Bitches, brought to you by Benny.
Hey everybody, it's Benny. I'm a young pop artist from Oak California. I normally experiment with pop R&B elements, but I fall into the pop singer-songwriter genre. Most of my influence for my songs are from underrated pop artists. You can find my other music out on every single streaming platform. Also, a big thanks to RadioSimi for this opportunity.
I don't feel like I am ready, but you're missing me, so I don't know what to do if you can't help me. I don't wanna go already, so go and leave, so I don't feel like a bother when you're with me. We all know I'm a little unsteady, but I can't help it. We all know you're a little unsteady, but I can't help you. I know she thinking that she found someone loyal, but she only knows a strange version of you. Maybe you've tried someone different, someone better, something new. Maybe, just maybe he was like you. Someone just really loves it, got you with everything. I don't know what else to say to you, except you and your friends too. I just wanna be someone who like me, unlike you. Love sick, love sick, love sick. Love sick, love sick, love sick. You only say I love you when you're drunk, but you never really mean it. I got so tired of all the back and forth. If I ever tried to let go, I don't know why though. We all know I'm a little unsteady, but I can't help it. We all know you're a little unsteady, but I can't help you. I know she thinking that she found someone loyal, but she only knows a strange version of you. Maybe you've tried someone different, someone better, something new. Maybe, just maybe he was like you. Someone just really loves it, got you with everything. I don't know what else to say to you, except you and your friends too. I just wanna be someone who like me, unlike you. Love sick, love sick, love sick. Love sick, love sick, love sick. Unsteady, love sick, unsteady, unsteady. I know she thinking that she found someone loyal, but she only knows a strange version of you. Maybe you've tried someone different, someone better, something new. Maybe, just maybe he was like you. Someone just really loves it, got you with everything. I don't know what else to say to you, except you and your friends too. I just wanna be someone who like me, unlike you.
Thank you so much for listening to episode 10 of RadioSimi.
Follow us on Facebook, Twitter, and the Instagram at RadioSimi.
Remember, if you want us to play your song, share your story, or feature your graphic art, reach out to us at tiny.cc/RadioSimiForum.
If you can, please leave us a review on Apple Podcasts and subscribe to our YouTube channel.
Don't forget, we're looking for people to join our team, so if you want to help and get to know your community better, check out our website, radiosimi.com, under the tab About Us. We have multiple positions open, so please apply. Thank you so much, and have a great day.